Hi, I'm Josanne Wright Callender. I'm the author of the Happy Little Garbage Truck picture book and educational program. And today we're continuing with our idea of how to write a social story so that it is effective. And so we've gone over a couple of the points of the social story. And I have to tell you, as I research and do more reading on social stories, which was created by Carol Gray in 1991, and has been a fantastically miraculous type of way of structuring a child's way of looking at situations that they may not ordinarily see how to behave or a skill to acquire. They may not be thinking about it as an important item, but when you write a social story, it becomes more apparent to the child that this is something that's a good thing to do and to be. But as I read more and more, it becomes more clear to me how many different components there are to social stories. And I know that's part of what makes it a little confusing and difficult for teachers and parents to write them. So here's one thing I found yesterday. I said a perspective gives the child, it actually is the child's point of view. And I thought about some of the perspective statements that I've written in the past, and one had sort of like a quirky type of feel to it. It's the child acknowledging the situation, their perspective, and that it's sometimes difficult, but that's okay. And so I wrote one perspective statement. Sometimes it's hard to wait my turn to speak or to sit quietly, whatever the perspective action, the descriptive action that you're working on. So the child says, sometimes it's hard to do whatever that is, but that's okay. And then you go from there to the directive, and that's the term that we're going to talk about today, the directive statement and also the affirmative statement. So it's the child says, well, that's okay. And then you go on to a directive, which is the desired response or action to the social situation that you're trying to get the child to do or to be in the context of whatever is happening. So if it's being quiet in the classroom, which was one of my social stories, the directive statement could be, I will work on sitting quietly in the classroom so everyone can hear the teacher talking. Or you could say, I will try to sit quietly until it is my turn to speak. And so you've gotten in that second statement that my turn, your turn exchange that is something that children really need to learn for playing games with others and to be in a different social situations where they do have to take turns. So you've kind of implied or implemented that in this statement. And then the affirmative statement. This gives a child a positive statement that enhances the importance of the um, message and reassures them. So I wrote that down because it. I wanted to get that right because sometimes people think of it as a commonly shared opinion, and it's sort of like, what is it that we're to do in situations like this? So for sitting quietly in the classroom, I said, everyone sits quietly in the classroom. It makes the classroom quiet. So that's your just a blanket statement of why this action or behavior is necessary. Or you could say, a quiet classroom makes it easier to hear the teacher talking or to hear what someone is saying. Or you could say, everyone needs to hear the teacher when she is talking. So, it's just blanket statements that establish the foundation of why the child needs to do this. And there are a couple, basically, those are the key points of writing a social story. But tomorrow we're going to talk about the control statement, which is something that I just referred to in my research. I actually thought it was part of the directive statement, but I see that um, some of the research and some of the writings on social stories puts this in a category of its own, as well as the cooperative statement. So we'll talk about those two C statements tomorrow. I've included some of the research articles that I've run across in the description box. And I hope to speak with you tomorrow as we conclude the key points of how to write a social story. And then we're going to put together a couple of social stories. And I hope to see you tomorrow. And thank you so much for tuning in today. Bye bye.